Hi, it's Lynn from Ewetopia Farms. It's another windy, cloudy day today, and it's going to be a busy next few days sorting sheep and stuff, so I think we might go on a hike today. But for now, let's go see what's happening in the barn today. And to start off the day, we have Arnie waiting for me. Maybe he's going to tell me he already finished this barn, because I'm always last out to the barns. But I do come out to the barn every day, so I do get credit for that.
Good morning from Ewetopia Farms. And this barn's all done. If you trust me, or do you want to go and double check it?
No, I trust you. Why wouldn't I trust you, Arnie?
Why? I'm trustworthy.
Would you have missed steps that I would have taken?
I'm a man, I'm trustworthy. Like I just said.
Yeah, you're a white male. I don't know. I've been watching the news lately. Anyway, we're off to the coveralls. So you can see we got lots of puddles all over the place, and the sky is still overcast. You can see up our laneway there, we got ruts in the laneway, so that's why you can't drive tractors or equipment in the fields right now, because it will actually destroy your fields. So it's just waiting as far as field work, planting crops. I think we've pretty well given up on planting the rest of our beans. We're just going to write that off this year and hope that the ones that we did plant grow well and don't drown. And it's actually very cold for this time of year too. So we went and checked on the barley last night, and it's not yellow yet. So hopefully it'll warm up and it will do okay as well. But that's the joys of farming. And yes, for people suffering droughts, much worse. At least everything's green here. And that counts for something. Like I said, tomorrow and the next day we're going to be doing a lot of sorting sheep, because we have lambs to go to market, which you all know is my worst of days. I hate having to make those life and death decisions that farmers have to make. I guess I'm not made for farming when it comes to that type of thing. But we also have to sort out the 40 ewes for the guy who's coming to pick up the ewe lambs. And they're a nice thing because they're going to another home to start a career on someone else's farm, so that's a happy moment. So we'll get started on our chores. We're going to start in the dry ewe barn. Arnie's just throwing out the leftover hay right now because they've eaten all the leaves off it, and it was a really coarse bale of hay. So instead of making them suffer through that. I mean, a lot of people would make the sheep eat that, but we've got a lot of hay, so there's no need for them to do that. And so what's left, if you see it, it looks like straw, so he just throws it out and it becomes bedding. So that way we don't have to roll out straw, because they'll be laying on that stuff, so it keeps their pen clean. And we're just gonna roll a fresh bale in for these girls. I'm guessing they're not gonna go out again today. Far too many hoof problems if you let sheep out in wet conditions. If you can see, that's the yard and that's the path into the field. It's very, very mucky. And so what happens is the sheep have split toes. When they walk through the mud, inevitably mud gets between those toes, of course, and then when they come in it solidifies, and because it's clay, so then it forms like a rock, and that's between their toes. So their toes do move as they walk through the ground. Like they're not like a horse's hoof that's solid and has no movement. They do flex back and forth. So if you have a piece of clay that's hard in between your toes as you walk, it's going to rub. And between the toes is like a webbing with skin. And as that's rubbing, they're going to form a little sore. which is going to make them limp because it's going to hurt until you get that clump of mud out. And then because you've rubbed a sore, now you're also allowing bacteria to get in. I'm going to step back because it's getting loud, because the grain is coming and they know it. So once the... Hang on, I'm going to stop.
You know in the morning when you have your alarm clock and it actually has a little annoying ring when you have to get up in the morning? Imagine having this every morning waking up. Wouldn't that get you up?
Some people would like it. Anyway, back to the toes. So once you've rubbed a sore there, you're walking in mud and manure and you're going to get an infection. It's just inevitable. So that's where you get the limping sheep. So at that point you have to catch it, give it antibiotics to prevent any infection. So that's why it is not recommended to have sheep out in wet, muddy conditions. The other thing that can happen, which we usually don't have a problem with, but we've had 2 ewes this year with it, because this has been a way, way wetter year than I ever remember seeing here, is that the sheep are limping, and when we go to check them to see if they've got mud or a sore between their toes, what's actually happened is their hoof, because it is in the wet grass, wet mud, wet puddles, is actually softening, and they're getting cracks in the actual hoof. I've never seen that before, but we had 2 sheep get that, and yeah, there's really not a lot we can do about that one. And yeah, so we hate to lock them in at this time of year. It seems such a waste. Nice weather, lots of grass out there, but the health issues are just not worth it. So we're feeding them. We've got lots of feed. We're lucky for that. And as soon as this dries up, these guys will all be outside again. And I mean, now they look happy, now that they're being fed. But these are things that you have to be totally on top of all the time. It's always, people are quick to criticize confinement farming or things like that, but I gotta say, sheep, you have more control over the sheep, and they're a lot healthier if they're indoors. As long as you're looking after them. I mean, it's always up to the farmer, right?
People are going to say, why are you feeding grain right in the first week of June? But these sheep have to be in breeding groups in 60 days.
Yeah, I know, I told them that
And they got to get the weight back on. And the dry hay that we're feeding is not really probably good enough for them. And I'm having a real hard time getting them to pasture.
Yeah, so I was just explaining that about the weather, like we want to get them out, but it's just not right.
A little bit of grain will get a little extra weight on them, because in order to get them to lamb out the twins, they got to have the condition on them. And I'm thinking they'll use a little extra condition.
Well, and we're going to be pulling the white sheep out of this group right after shearing on June 15th. Probably we'll pull them out the next day, and they're going to go into a breeding group. So the white sheep will be leaving here, and it'll be just the Suffolks and the Suffolk crosses.
Does that look like a bunch of parasites?
They're so cute, Ernie. Parasites don't look like that, but they sound like a bunch of locusts. So this dry barn is actually over full right now. So some of the young ewe lambs are not getting in, they're not fighting their way into the trough like this. Well, that's Angel, you see? Angel is the bigger one, and she's pushed the little one out of the way. And we're trying to get the other ones in poor condition, but the ones that are in poor condition don't fight as hard for the food. So what happens if you have a sheep that's poorer or smaller in a big group like this is they'll often just back off and wait. They don't want to fight and get pushed in the crowd. And you can tell by condition. And the poorer in condition they get, the less they're going to fight. So we got this one here that all these ones in good condition are up here wanting the grain because I've got it, but I only want to feed her. But the fat ones, like Angel, you don't need any, will push the thin ones away. Come on. Nope, we're going to give her a chance. And normally we don't have problems like this because they would be out at pasture. But the white ones are going to be removed soon. All the fat ones are pushing her away. Come here, sweetheart. And she's a first-time ewe who just weaned lambs. And you can see her bone. That's the nice thing about being sheared off. But this one has no bone at all, doesn't need this. And she's going to have hay to graze eat all day, but she needs extra weight on her, and the others are bullying. There you go. So we're just going to help her. Normally sheep do have to make their way on our farm by themselves, but this is unusual conditions where we're low on manger space right now.
Stay tuned for 7 days and we'll have them again.
What?
Just give us 7 more days and we'll have her in the farm at 10.
That's right.
I just have to catch up.
We have to get the lambs out of here because the lambs are taking up all the space on our farm right now. So our priority is getting the lambs to their homes and gone. So the ones that are staying can start to thrive again. There you go. You did a good job. You can lick it off. But you got a good chunk there. Hey? Was that good? Was that good, honey? Yeah, it was good. And so little farms wouldn't have that kind of problem because they can watch the sheep on an individual basis and monitor how they're doing. But at the size we are, it's pretty well like factory farming. And factory farming, you can't really look after the individual, you're looking after the group. And we're a little different in that, although I feel like our farm is almost like a factory farm, we still try to treat it like it's a hobby farm, like trying to give the individual care and giving them all as much attention as we can possibly give them. But it's a really fine line, and it is much more labor intensive to do that. But sheep comfort and sheep care is our number one priority, so we're gonna go the extra mile for them. We want them all to do well. Let's see. Most of them are in. My Shetland, she won't fight for feeder space either because obviously she's small, she's old. But she'll go in once the mad rush for the food is over, then they'll back off and then there'll be lots of space to eat at the feeder. It's not like they're not gonna get their food because this barn's actually eating 2 round bales a day. So there's always hay in the feeder. So everyone will get plenty of food, but some have to wait. And once we get the white sheep out of this group, everyone will have manger space. Plus, yeah, if the weather's good, they'll be out on pasture too. So again, then it is even less of an issue. But the weather is, it's always a concern and always causes trouble for farmers when it's not going well.
Wants to get those ladies in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man. Wait everyone away. Stay away
Yeah,
from the mother.
stay- yeah.
Oh, yeah. But they wanted to run. They didn't want to be in the barn.
No.
So we didn't know. I mean, I wasn't really a horse person.
No. Yeah.
But they're growing bones now, eh?
Oh, yes.
So they.
There you go. That's you. See? Yeah, I know. She's what she's doing is she's going between me and the baby.
Yeah, that's right.
That makes sense because she doesn't know me and she's protecting the baby, right?
Well, she was the same name with me, but
Is she?
yeah.
But it's nice that you know she's
That's correct.
yeah.
She's taking care of things.
That's right. There's a rainbow shining right on Ewetopia Farms. Maybe we should run home and see if we got a pot of gold waiting for us. Well, it was one of those days where it started off sunny, then went cloudy, then threatened thunderstorms, then it rained, then there was a rainbow, and now it's evening, and there's still clouds threatening in the background. Over back there, you see? So the weather just doesn't know what to do these days. But we're gonna call it a night, and hopefully you'll join us again tomorrow for the next episode at Ewetopia Farms. Bye for now.